down to the abyssal lair of the radiophonic sea creatures. Get a nice pork sausage in your gullet because I, Tokyo Choo Choo, am going to be your host today. And with me, as always, the two men who are always choking on each other's pork bangers. It's Human Metal and Brack. How are you guys today?
Oh,
Jesus.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was joking.
I think I smell tartar sauce. Human Metal, how are you today?
I was fine. Now I'm not.
Brack's big. He's a big boy.
All right. So what are we guys doing today?
We are today. There's no shallows today, people. So we're heading straight into the depths. And today on the depths, we are going to be talking about the best TV shows from 2017. So we're actually going to kick off with some honorable mentions. So Human Metal, I do believe you are first for your honorable mentions.
Yeah, and because one of my honorable mentions is on Choo Choo's actual list, I won't be mentioning that right now. Also, I will only be...
That's literally redundant and pointless for you to say that. Literally pointless.
No, I'm just, people wondering why I have so few, and the one pick I took is...
He's like, I picked it first, motherfucker.
Is what it is. Yeah, no. I also will only be concentrating on TV shows that premiered in 2017. Of course, there were so many shows that delivered great new seasons, like... Game of Thrones, Better Call Saul, Mr. Robot, many others. But today I want to highlight the new stuff, and also I still haven't seen all of Legion or Punisher. I would assume they would find a place on this list otherwise. So people wondering why I wouldn't put a Marvel show on this. Yeah, well, now you know. So my only runner-up, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is The Orville. I'm just as surprised that this is on here as you are, because this is by Seth MacFarlane, the guy behind Family Guy, American Dad, and Ted, and he's also in the lead starring role. I usually don't like his stuff, at all, so I was really skeptical of his version of Star Trek, but this actually turned out to be a pretty okay, neat, optimistic version of classic next-gen Trek mixed with Galaxy Quest, the Tim Allen movie where they spoofed that shit. So it's basically Star Trek with normal people as you and I, and of course that brings its own problems with it, because each of them is an idiot in their own way, just like we three are. And there's still a lot of low-tier MacFarlane humor with a lot of gags that don't work, but some do work, and thankfully it feels like they are, dialing that, that whole kind of humor back as the show progresses, and it gets more and more typical Star Trek as it goes on. So if you like that stuff, maybe you like that too. The cast is sympathetic, didn't have any complaints there. It's just all around nice, not really offensive version of Trek, and overall I enjoyed it more than the actual new Star Trek show this year. So, yeah, simple comfort food, sci-fi stuff that I enjoyed this year. So there you go.
All right.
Great. Yeah, I haven't seen the new Star Trek. It got such a mixed response that I decided I'd best kind of avoid it, at least for the time being. Because isn't it still sort of going episodically week to week?
Yes.
Yeah.
First season is still going. Yeah. It just got out of break.
I think I'm going to wait till it's all on Netflix, and then I might binge watch it, or I might at least try it. But
there's some good parts. There's some good parts in that show, and visually it's really great. But some of the story stuff just doesn't work at all. But you'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Now you guys with your stuff.
Green Man Gaming, Brack, who is on camera just. His camera, for some reason, is green, and he looks like an old Spectrum game.
Yeah.
I know. I got an old iToy.
He looks like One Night in Paris.
It's knocked out, and it's like this completely green screen, like night vision in like a video game. That's what my camera looks like right now.
Brack literally exists in the Matrix.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the loading screen of the Matrix.
He's the green ghost.
I made up of those letters and numbers just flying around. I know what you mean.
So, Brack, what's on your honorable mentions list?
That's on my honorable mention list. First up, there's the Young Pope. which is the TV show about Jude Law being the Pope, and at some way this show is sort of a meme because it just looks hilarious seeing Jude Law dressed up in those Pope clothes, and it's kind of inherently funny, but in general this show is really good. I actually ended up really liking it. In the beginning it was kind of funny, and it's really crazy. It's like it made by some Italian Oscar-winning director who's like only made like weird-ass indie movies, and now he made like an entire weird-ass TV show. One season only, so that's also a positive. And it's just weird. The performances are great. It looks amazing. It's like shot really beautiful, and it just has some of the weirdest, craziest moment in television this year. I don't think, and none of you have seen the show, I'm pretty sure.
No.
No.
It sounds interesting, and I have it in my giant ass backlog, but yeah.
Wait, did you say I have it in my vagina's backlog?
Yes, true. That's exactly what I said.
Man.
And now you make sense of that.
And not even the files, like the entire Blu-ray set.
Yeah.
Like the box set.
With a fucking edition. Pope head on top of it. I don't know what they're called in English, but there you go.
Special version.
I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one with a vagina backlog.
Yeah.
Next up on my list is American Vandal, which is like a hilarious documentary series that mockumented like a fake documentary series, and it really perfectly spoofs like all the crime documentaries that have been so popular for the last few years, and it just does it perfectly, while at the same time also actually having like a pretty decent message at the end of it. But it's not just being funny, which it's really good at. It's really funny, but it also actually has something to say, and it does it really well. I was really surprised. I expected it to be like a 20-minute joke that stretched out over a season, but instead it was just an entirely really good show.
I also loved American Vandal. Actually, the only reason it's probably not on my TV list of the year is because actually I forgot about it because I watched so much stuff it just slipped my mind. But American Vandal was brilliant. I watched that twice. I watched the first season twice. I watched it by myself, and then I think my daughter was caught like one episode and was really interested in it. What's that? I want to watch that, so I watched it again with my daughter.
But that show is hilarious. Like I just keep reminding how funny, but the way that they play it completely serious just cracks me up the entire time. But it's just funny. It's just hilarious.
The thing is, it's like you say, it's not just the comedy though. Like there are a couple of facets. Obviously, it has a bit of an emotional punch to it at the end, which is great. So surprisingly, it might actually make you cry at the end. But but the intrigue, like at some point, the flip comes where you actually genuinely want to know what happened, who did it, and why they did it, and then
who drew the dicks.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the ball hairs, you two? What about the ball hairs?
Yeah, that's right. The ball hairs don't match up with the story.
Yes. And, this one is not mushroom shaped. Like he just a normal split, but this one is mushroom shaped. It's not the same.
Yeah, and that damn Alex Stromboli, he lied about getting a hand job. Like,
and they always cut back with that computer footage of him getting the hand job.
Every single time that made me laugh out loud.
This is hilarious. But the funny thing is, yes, you're right. Like on an emotional level, it works because, well, on a show level, it's hilarious. The stakes for the characters is actually real. Like he really is facing jail time almost, and like he's getting kicked off school. So there's actually stakes for the people in the show. So yeah, in that way it works emotionally as well.
It works as a meta as well because you get sort of drawn into it. You're and there's a big revelation, and you as the viewer just like, oh, I need to know what happens, and then you catch yourself for a second. It's like, wait, this is all about drawing dicks on cars. You kind of momentarily forget what's happening.
Okay, but going from large crime to maybe a little bit like less important crime, like serial killers, because the next show on my list is Mindhunter, which is this David Fincher TV show about this group of FBI cops, or was it CIA? No, FBI, that are interviewing serial killers and trying to figure out how they work, how they tick, how they can stop them better in the future. And it's very fascinating, just like on a historical level, but on an emotional level as well. Just a really good show, and it's shot beautiful as well.
Yeah, love it. Another TV show that definitely deserves also to be on my honorable mentions. I loved Mindhunter so much when I first saw it. In fact, I tried to watch it a second time with my wife in tow, but actually my wife just got too creeped out by it and was like, nope, don't want to do that anymore. Which is fair enough. So we kind of abandoned that mid-season for the second time. But yeah, I loved Mindhunter. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Did you watch Mindhunter Human Metal?
Yes, I did. All of it on Netflix. But, it was cool. It was stylish. It was like a nice slow burn. But, no butt really. It's just, didn't
No
raise...
butt. Okay, so you just love the butts, and you just anything. See, we're back to sausages and pork sausages again. Anything with a butt and a hole.
It's like
anything without a butt, he just doesn't like.
I guess I liked it, but I didn't love it. At least not yet. It's like it's interesting. It's interesting to see, like, get a window into that time and how that whole, like, part of science. Let me finish before you make your jokes. That whole
Let him finish.
That new department of science came to be, procedural science and everything. So yeah, sure, that was interesting. It's just the characters and everyone else in that show were not that appealing to me. So
I'm like giant ass butts.
And holes. Aims a specific viewer, especially if you're a big fan of the Fincher shows, of the Fincher movies. If you like this procedural shows, and if you like the attention to detail, for like the way these guys work and stuff like that, if you're fascinated by that kind of stuff, then you will enjoy the show a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, and there's a really I won't spoil it, but there's an amazing Sherlock Holmes moment in that, which is so memorable. I love it. I guess is it my turn to say my it's my honorable mentions time. So so quickly, Game of Thrones, because it's fucking Game of Thrones. Enough said. Love Game of Thrones. What do you mean kind of? That's right. Yeah. You got issues with Game of Thrones season 7, don't you?
I got some issues with it, but it's still Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Even bad Game of Thrones is much better than a lot of other TV shows.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's the thing. Like whatever issues I have with Game of Thrones, ultimately they're nitpicks, because ultimately every episode of Game of Thrones is like gold, like someone giving you gold, and you can say, hey, there's a dent in this gold bar, but ultimately it's still a gold bar. That's how I feel about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had some problems with it, but it's still even on a spectacle level, it had set pieces that are better than most of the movies I've seen this year. It's much better.
Yeah, so Game of Thrones just deserves to be on my list, because I'm a huge fucking Game of Thrones fan, and I love Game of Thrones. It's my favorite TV show of all time.
One more season, guys. One more season, and it's not coming this year. We have to wait a long time until the finale, and then it's over. I'm kind of sad thinking about that, but also happy because the series will have a proper ending, and it will not run its course until nobody cares anymore.
So that's it. But then the next season comes out, the guy, that kid playing Brad has a full-on beard, and he's a super style. If you binge watch Game of Thrones, it's already kind of funny, because that guy goes from a little kid to a huge, looking like Severus Snape by the 5th season. You know what I mean? It aged so quickly. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I can imagine that. In fact, my daughter is literally going to get that, because I am currently going through all of Game of Thrones with my 12-year-old daughter. Say about that what you will.
You want to mention that openly,
the next what you say, open bunghole?
Yes, I did.
You said that, yeah. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's what I heard. The thing is, my mic is I'm basically. This time, so please excuse sound quality, because I'm actually recording on my iPod, my iPod Touch with the PlayStation mic. So when Brack said binge watch a few minutes ago, it literally sounded on my mic like he said bitch watch. I'm not joking. It's if you bitch watch Game of Thrones, and I'm like, geez, is that watching through your fingers? I can't watch.
That's trimming it to Pornhub. That's.
All right.
Binge watching Game of Thrones with some woman gyrating on your lap. Nice.
That
That's
sounds
my favorite way to watch
distracting.
Game of Thrones.
So what's next on your list?
Yes. Dark would be next on my list. The German show was really great. Very interesting premise. Has some time travel going on in that show. A lot of kind of deep mystery, beautiful cinematography, and was very, very entertaining right up until it shit the bed right at the end of the show. I've gone over this in previous episodes of Radiophonic Sea Creatures, so I don't really need to do it again, but it just did not end well. It was total sequel baiting and wrapped up absolutely none of the character threads. None of them. It's like it didn't learn anything from, from all the other Netflix shows that usually wrap up, at least have a kind of arc within the season, right? There's something that finishes within one season, but no, nothing finished. I mean, so it was a very frustrating ending to a good show, but up until that ending, it was great. So there you go. So that definitely makes the list, and definitely that was a show I wanted to binge watch. It was just like, I gotta know what happens. I gotta know what happens. I gotta want to know what happens. I'm just gonna, just want to watch, and then fuck it.
I'm just gonna wait on one more season then for myself. Check if it picks up better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did they already confirm that it's gonna get its second season? Was it successful enough?
I fucking hope so, because the whole thing was geared towards the second season. I assume, I'd like to hope
it's already confirmed it's already renewed by Netflix.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, and also I hope there's promise there, because I think whatever criticisms they have for that show will be about how it ended, and hopefully they'll pick up some criticisms from that and actually, work harder on giving a more concrete arc for the second season. The other TV show is The Expanse. The second season of The Expanse. The Expanse was an excellent SF show, which, like Dark, I just couldn't stop watching. I just binge watched it. That was excellent. Yeah.
I can't wait for the third season.
I literally watched The Expanse season 2 in a single day.
Jesus. That's hard.
I can see why. It's great.
It's like, oh my god, I need to go. What's happening next? What happens next? Like, the show is so entertaining and so just like just pushes you forward. It feels like reading a book that you can't put down. It's great.
Yeah, that's the thing I liked about The Expanse. It was like a roller coaster straight from the off. It's just like because the first season was just like this slow burn thing that gradually gathered pace, and by the end of it, you were hooked and just like, oh man, this is great. But at the beginning was frankly a little boring. But the season 2 is just like boom. As soon as it starts, you're just off running. Just
the beginning of season 1 is a lot of world building and setup, but the payoff is all the better. Like I thought like the midway finale of season 1 was really strong, where you have the wrap up with one of the main characters and everything, or at least temporary wrap up and everything. And I really like that. And just in general, I think the setting for this show and the time that it's set in and the different political parties and everything and what is going on, it feels like something I haven't seen at least a while, if at all, in in sci-fi, just in terms of just where it's set. At least you either get like this deep sci-fi that's set many years in the future, like Star Trek, that has like very, very futuristic stuff that you can't quite imagine, or you get like in a few years or post-apocalyptic stuff. But this is like, okay, give it a few years, mankind might evolve to that point, but it's not so far in the future that you think that it feels super Atlantic. The tech is really realistic.
You can still see the roots in like modern culture from there.
Yes, exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like Star Trek that you think, I have no clue what has to happen for this to actually like be reality. But here it's like, oh yeah, I can see where it comes from.
Yeah, exactly. And all the characters are interesting and feel like, I don't know, refreshingly blunt maybe. But it's just a cool cast of characters, cool setting, cool story. Definitely, some of it felt even Mass Effect-y in my opinion. And I thought it's just a great show. Fantastic overall.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. So talking about another really fucking fantastic show that is coming up, well, not coming up, which has seen its 10th anniversary, or is seeing its 10th anniversary. We're going to talk about a modern classic. I'm going to hand over to a man who was in nappies when it was first released. Brack, when
Was he still?
Yeah, we're talking about Breaking Bad, which is literally like, I think not today, but like 2 days ago when we're recording, it has its 10th anniversary. It started in January 2008. That's a long time ago, and I think no other show has had this much influence, or like the way TV has developed in the last couple of years, than Breaking Bad. Like
In the most positive sense possible.
yes, but it's set in both like it's set in like the way that it can focus on like character development and storytelling over like episodical storytelling, and it actually set in the streaming service as well, because Breaking Bad was about to be canceled. Like Breaking Bad was on the canceling block for a couple years in the first few seasons. It was not until it actually started up on Netflix that people like got up with it that it got so insanely popular. So like it's like it basically created all of modern television with Breaking Bad. It's kind of insane.
Mm-hmm.
as I think as I said to my brother like a little while ago, I was saying to him, "Oh man, you got to watch Breaking Bad, because it's just so awesome." And I was saying to him, at that point in time, I was saying to him, like, I can't really explain how good Breaking Bad is because there's nothing really like it in television. And he was saying, "Oh yeah, it can't be better than my favorite show of all time, which is like Supernatural." And I'm saying like, no, you don't understand. It's like, I basically said to him, it's like the first time you saw Ocarina of Time on the N64, just like the television version. It's like something different. It's like there's Breaking Bad, and then there's all other TV shows ever made, like way underneath it. Like it's something new.
It's kind of insane that like this slow burn television drama about like about a teacher dealing mad, and it's like a really slow burn, like really methodical. It's like has about as much like pop culture relevance as Zelda or Star Wars. That's kind of weird, right? It's kind of unique.
Wow, like you say, I mean, it totally changed. I mean, they took a character, and unlike all other TV shows, they changed him throughout the course. Through he directly experienced the things that he experienced in the show, and he became a completely different person. And it had an arc, although it's not like Game of Thrones where they kind of knew they had an arc beforehand and knew when it was going to end. There was a solid arc that told a story that had kind of like a beginning, a middle, and an ending over multiple seasons. And it just, like you say, it just completely set up the modern style of TV show, which is far superior than what we had previous to it. And plus, it was just a fucking really good story and just, fantastic. So many fantastic moments. Yeah, just brilliant.
It definitely also made like pre-TV more prestige than movies almost. You had like those movie actors that were like, oh shit, I gotta get myself a TV show. You know what I mean? Like after seeing stuff like Breaking Bad, like you had like Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson getting a TV show like a few years later after Breaking Bad, and Steve Buscemi and all those other like big actors that are normally only in movies. Like all of a sudden, like, oh, I can go to TV, and in movies I'm a side actor, but at TV I can be the big star. I can like get myself a meaty role for like multiple years, and
like you say, no Breaking Bad, no Fargo. So basically,
pretty much.
I think, yeah. So there you go.
And it was just such a neat. Surprised to see a series. I mean, it wasn't like completely thought out all the way through to the end from the beginning. But you felt like Vince Gilligan had a plan for this, and he followed it through the way he wanted to. And I thought the ending to that show is perfect. Like I can say that about very few TV shows, very few like things in general. But I feel like the ending to Breaking Bad is perfect, and. That's why every time I heard something, Breaking Bad is a sequel, I was like, no, no, don't do this. No. I don't want this. This is as perfect as it is. It's like this neat little thing with 6 seasons, right? And that's how it's supposed to be. It's a great story from beginning to end. Each season is like starts slow and then ramps up by the end, and this fantastic thrill ride. And it's just a great character study. So many cool characters, so many cool plot points and everything. It's just, I loved every minute of it. I've watched it 3 times now, I think, all the way through with different people. And it's fantastic. It's how TV, everything that TV should be and what other shows should aspire to be. And yes, so we'll see what else. And, Better Call Saul, which is by the same guys and has one of the characters from that show as the main character now, is a cool show too. Doesn't reach the heights, but it's a completely different show, so I don't feel it's fair to judge it on the same same scale as Breaking Bad. It's just from the setup and from how it's structured, it's a completely different show. But you can see the glimpses of the people writing this and how it's written, everything, and it's it feels like a neat expansion to that universe, and it's without ruining or continuing whatever any of the story that is happening in Breaking Bad and feels nice closed off, you still can get something of that feel and from that universe, and I appreciate that as well, and I like that show very much. And so Breaking Bad has brought a lot of joy to my life.
Yeah,
I'm grateful for that.
I can tell it. It's brought a lot of joy to many people's lives, a bit like meth itself. So,
joy and despair.
Pretty much. So there you go, Breaking Bad, one of the best of all time. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, then what the fuck have you been doing with your time? And you should immediately rectify that. So now we're going to talk about our top 3 shows of the year. So Humor Metal, why don't you tell us what is number 3 on your list?
Number 3 on my list is American Gods. A show about a war of gods that is approaching, and it's between the old guards with gods like Odin and one of those other gods you've probably heard of, maybe some from Egyptian culture, some from Christian culture and everything, and they basically, there's a confrontation brewing between those and the new hot stuff, like the godly incarnations of the media and the internet, from our new society and everything. So this is based on a story by Neil Gaiman, the guy behind the Sandman comics, and the series is made by Brian Fuller of Hannibal fame, another cool show. And the last bullet point already told me that this show would look special, but goddamn, is this a surreal visual feast at times. It's colorful, it's crazy, it's gross, it's full of sex and violence, has a great soundtrack. Just production-wise, this is a fantastic show. And it's just super fun to watch because there's something new and interesting to see in each episode. It has a great cast, Ian McShane, Gillian Anderson, Crispin Glover. I just loved everything about that show. The mythology behind the characters, the visuals, the story in general, it's fantastic. The only reason why it's not higher on my list, even though the second season has already been greenlit, is that since then a lot of important people have departed that show. Mainly its showrunners, Brian Fuller and Michael Green. Apparently they wanted a bigger budget for the second season and Starz didn't give it to them, so they left. Which is a mega downer. Gillian Anderson also said she won't be returning now, I think. So it really doesn't look good for the next season, which is a big shame.
You forget to mention the biggest reason why it's not higher on your list. Because if it was high on your list, you wouldn't be able to jump the gun and picking the show that is my number 2.
Oh, sorry.
I also have American Gods on my list, and. I'm gonna just repeat what you said because how amazing it is. It looks beautiful. This is one of the most creative shows out there. Just visually, it just looks gorgeous. Great performances. Ian McShane is amazing in it. He's casted perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's based on one of my favorite books, and they differ from the book. And I'm not angry about it. Normally, when they pick one of your favorite things and they change it, you're like, oh, fuck, why did they change it? But here, I'm like, oh, I'm okay with it. They're trying to do something different, and it works equally but different. It's just great. And, I'm also kind of sad that the second season probably won't be as good. But at least we still have the book, so that's good.
So what's your favorite and least favorite change from the book that they have done until now?
My favorite change is that they brought the girl, his wife. They gave her more of a role. In the book, she has a really small part, but
okay.
in the show actually has a much bigger part. And that's pretty great. And also,
she got a pity job.
Ignore him. Continue.
No, she didn't. She got some kind of job, but it's she definitely
she got a makeover, definitely.
Definitely got a makeover. She definitely has something done to her body.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like a really big change of it, and there actually aren't any changes that I completely dislike. You know, they don't really change it much. They add a lot more than that they change. So that's great.
Is the book series finished, or is that still running in a way?
It's just one book.
Oh, okay. All right, I didn't know that. I thought it was
several. There are some like short stories that are related to it. There's some happen afterwards, and some before, and there's like a side book called Anansi Boys, which is focused on sons of Mr. Nancy or Anansi, who's like a big part in the show as well. Who's great, by the way. His like entire like that segment when he's on the slave ship. That's an impressive, like brutal segment, and that's like very impressive.
Orlando Jones is great in that part.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because the character in the second book, the other book, Anansi Boys, is very much a lot more jolly and happy, and here he is very angry and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but
well, he has any right to be, kind of.
He has the right to be, but it's very much like a different take on the character. But yeah, great show, great book. Go watch/read it.
Yeah, watch at least the first season. We'll tell you how the second season turns out eventually, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe other talented writers will get on this.
I haven't seen American Gods, and I don't know anything about it, to be honest. But I'm glad to hear that Ian McShane is considered an American god, considering the fact that he's British. Great.
Well,
it's explained when you watch the show, so it's not.
He's
strictly
god. He's neither.
Yes.
So
what's on your list?
Yeah, seems Brack has been jumped there. By
yes,
Metal.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that it was his number 2 when
I smell tartar sauce. Yes, my third place would go to Godless, the Western TV show that was delivered on Netflix. A TV show? Is it a TV show? I don't really know. Yeah,
it's a mini series. So
yeah, it's like a mini series because it's not. It doesn't really fit to the formatted length of a TV
it's 8
show,
episodes, right? No, wait, it's longer.
Just 7, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's like 7, but like some are like 30 minutes long, some are an hour and a half long. Yeah. So it's all over the place in terms of length.
It feels like each episode is as long as it needs to be, just in terms of cutoff point and dramatic arc and everything. So this is neat actually, because it tells me like they were actually taking the liberty with the format, what they more people should do who produce shows for Netflix, and just be like, okay, this episode works best if it's this long, and it doesn't need to be 13 episodes every time, or I don't know, 10 or 26. This is a free format. This is like, you can do what you want. People are gonna watch it anyway, so you don't have to put commercials in there. So yeah, more of that, please. Just
yes, I totally agree with you. I thought that because of that, there was very little wasted space. I mean, sure, the scenery shots are absolutely like gratuitous. All of the wild horses and scenery shots, but I like that shit. Like that just adds flavor.
Yeah, that should be in a Western, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It feels like it belongs there.
It's real. I read online that some people complained about the pacing of it, like the glacial pacing, but I really enjoyed that type of depth and really getting to know the characters and the slowly building tension. You can see a mile away kind of what's coming, like what I mean.
It's a classic story.
It's a very classic story. It's not particularly complicated. You can see all the ins and outs of it before they come, but there's delight in that. you know that those characters that are looking for redemption are gonna, ultimately kind of get their redemption and be fucking badass. It's just waiting for that, that pressure cooker to pop, which is the pleasure of any great Western. I mean, you watch Unforgiven, you know that at some point Clint Eastwood is going to do something badass. You're just waiting for that moment where he snaps, right? That's exactly how Godless is as well. These characters are all going to do something badass eventually. You're just waiting for that moment when it's their time to suddenly decide, well, fuck this. Instead of moping about and saying I don't like violence, you wait for that moment where they're just going to strap on their guns and kill everybody. Like, it's just how it goes.
And where it's fresh and interesting is like the setup, as in that it's all about this like town led mainly by women, because all of the men of that town got like killed in a mining accident, and so the cast is a bit more I wouldn't say female centered. I feel it's like very even.
No.
But it's like just the setting of the town and the political structure of that town and how it's handled, everything is something new, is something interesting, and that's where that's where the fresh part comes in, and then you get your classic stuff mixed in, and so I feel like it's a good mix of old and new Western trope thingies. So yeah.
I like the handling of the ladies, because when I saw the promotional stuff for it, it really I like the handling of every lady, to be honest. Fat ones, thin ones, I'm good with any lady. Old ones, well, there's a limit, there's a threshold. I mean, like if you've got like tits that are literally knocking your knees,
if they are born in the Western area from the show, they're probably too old for you. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, well, yeah, I think they're too old for anyone, Brad. Just literally trying to dry hump a skeleton. No, that's you're doing it wrong. You just got to lube it up first. Anyway.
Oh god.
But yeah, I like it because in the promotional stuff, they really, really focused on the aspect of the women. Like, it was all about the women. But actually, the show's not like that. Like, I think a good portion of the heroes in that show are males. And of course, there are heroic women, and the women do have to make a stand in that. But, ultimately, I think a lot of the kind of like more badass heroes are actually male. So that definitely
and that's what
needed to
some
happen.
people actually complained about, because like
Why?
you said, because like you said, the promotional material told a different story, and some people were expecting this to be like a town about kick-ass only about the town of kick-ass women, and that being the center focus. And then you're like, okay, the sheriff is male, the outlaw stray gunman guy is male, the villain is male, and it's like, okay, but it's about the women leaning up against some of those people, and actually turning around some of the other ones. And the sheriff is kind of a dropout / wanker, at least in the beginning. And but it's some people expected something differently, but I didn't really expect anything besides a good Western from this, and I got a really good Western from this that looks amazing. I love the villain in the show, Jeff Daniels. Fantastic. I didn't know he could do villains. I mean, I knew the guy could act, but I thought his portrayal, he was really like, he always felt really off and was terrifying, and you knew he would do something bad, but you couldn't really tell when and what exactly, and to what extent he would do something bad again. And he is like, yeah, he's a really terrifying villain, and I enjoyed the fuck out of every minute he was on screen. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. And I also like the action scenes in that series were kind of nicely realistically done as well.
Yes.
They were very tasteful and very sudden and shocking moments of violence. They weren't like very theatrical, which I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. So just great Western stuff.
The ending feels a bit rushed, maybe. But it feels like classic Western stuff. Like there's this huge build up, and then there's like the giant bang in the final episode that happens very quickly and gets wrapped up pretty quickly. So if you expect like a prolonged, I don't know, action finale paced out over many episodes, you won't get that. It's like it's all like bang, and we're finished. But it's really well choreographed. It's an amazing action scene, and everybody gets a highlight and stuff like that. So it's really well done.
And I love the closing duel of that show. The closing duel is just fucking excellent. Oh
Good
man, it's
stuff.
so good.
Yeah, this
So
show.
there you go.
If this was a top 5, this would definitely be my number 4, and thus it's in my runner-ups. But I'm glad you put it on your number 3.
Yeah, absolutely love it. It was fantastic, and more of that, please. But not a sequel because it doesn't need one.
And I haven't seen it, so I don't know anything about it.
Well, Bragg,
do you like westerns?
You like, yeah.
I will watch it at some point. I know
Okay.
I will probably like it, but I haven't had the chance to watch it.
Bragg loves westerns. I think Bragg loves westerns more than you and I, Human Metal.
I don't think so, but I do like westerns.
I thought you were the bigger Unforgiven fan, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's the bigger Unforgiven fan than me.
Yeah. So
Well,
there
it's
you go.
because I'm forgiven by so many ladies that it's just
But I think it's just even if you are not a super Western fan, it's worth to watch it from the because of the visuals and some of the characters alone. So yeah. Good stuff.
I think so too.
All
So
right.
Human Metal, what is number 2 upon your list?
Number 2 on my list is let me scroll down so I know what to do. The Sinner. This is a great little psychological thriller / drama about a woman named Cora Tenetti, played by Jessica Biel, who lives like this normal, quiet, suburban family life with her husband and son. And then one day at the beach, she just commits a horrible crime out of nowhere.
Holy shit! Yes.
Almost seeming like a completely different person. And after that, of course, she gets imprisoned. Her family has to wrestle with the fallout of that thing. And a cop played by Bill Pullman, your favorite president from Independence Day, is trying to suss out what about her reasons for doing what she did and which details of her life she tells are a lie and what actually is the truth lying beneath all the different stories she tells. And this was a total surprise for me. Just a show I stumbled across on Netflix and hadn't really heard anything about before for some reason. It's a quiet, moody, well-acted, well-filmed crime drama with many twists and turns, some gut punches. It's also a miniseries with 8 episodes. It's finished. It's a finished story based on a German novel, and I loved it. The main character is interesting. And Bill Pullman as the cop is so weird and strange and off, like the way he behaves and he talks and everything. I think he fits very well into that kind of story, even though they don't really do that much with his character. So don't expect any all too interesting development there. There is some, but it's like, it feels like side garment, okay, we want to know something about that character and why he does what he does, but it's not like he's the focus. The focus is, Cora's super fucked up life, and Jessica Biel does a great job portraying all the different aspects of her character. So do her younger colleagues that play the younger versions of Cora. It's really good stuff. And one could argue that the ending feels a bit too constructed. It all fits together a bit too neatly, but I was totally fine with it. I thought it felt good. It was like, okay, this makes sense. Like, it isn't too far-fetched and everything. And it's not a huge time investment. Like I said, it's only 8 episodes. So if you like psycho, crime, thriller, drama, procedural stuff, whatever, and character studies, this might be up your alley. I really enjoyed it. I binged it like hardcore all the way through, and like wrecked it with The Expanse. I watched that pretty much all in one day. So there you go. Wow. Good stuff.
Nice.
I would agree with you, Human Metal. I also watched that. I also stumbled upon it randomly. It was just like I just was looking for something new to watch and was like, yeah, okay, I'll just watch that, whatever it is. And then, I was watching the first episode and I was getting tired of it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is just like a human drama. I think I'm done with this. Holy shit! Because that is a brutal murder. That's one of the more shocking things that just like immediately as soon as you see that you just snap awake. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that show was a fun time. I like the mystery of it because every time you think like, oh, I've got this sussed, I know what's going on here. It just throws a curveball, and you're like, no, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. They even tease you with like a more kind of supernatural aspect of it once or twice. I thought, oh, is there a supernatural element to this? Like,
there's a lot of red herrings and dead ends in that show where it's like, nope, you thought we were going this way, we are not. And the opening is also pretty like mysterious and okay, where is this actually going? And yeah, I like that. I thought it was really well done.
I like that too.
And it's not like you feel betrayed at the end with the solution that you get. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe it wasn't what I expected from the beginning, but it's like, okay, this in universe and everything, this makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So I can totally understand that, and I really enjoyed it for what it was, and yeah, I thought it was just a really great series. Yeah, not much more to say.
Exactly.
I also want to check that one out. I have put it on my list, on my Netflix list, but I haven't watched it yet.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll hear back on you from that eventually.
You'll hear back from me. I remember the trailer looked really cool.
I found that like I started watching it like it was for me that was like The Expanse. I started watching it and it was interesting. But it wasn't like essential. It's just something I was watching to sort of pass the time a little bit. But then at some point it just clicked. And then it's just like I started really binge watch it heavy towards the end. It's just like, I don't know what happens. Oh, Jesus. So it really does hook you in. Yeah,
well constructed.
All right, Brack, what is number 3, but in the place of number 2 for you?
Number 3 for me was Better Call Saul. And... we already talked how great Breaking Bad was, and Better Call Saul might not be as good, but it's still pretty fucking great. It still has all the ticks, and has all the creative editing and the creative making those. What are you saying?
Sorry, I just my mic is so bad. I just said it stores all the dicks.
I said it has all the same ticks.
Oh.
It has the creative editing, the way of telling the story, the way it really Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, they let a scene just hang there for a long time. You know what I mean? They have those moments where a scene just goes on for really long and very slow, and it just like it just really brings the emotion out of you.
Musical montages.
Musical montages, obviously. I'm not sure why you're laughing. What's up?
Yes, he just said. You mentioned the word dick, and then you just said it just hangs there.
Oh my god, you're like a 4-year-old.
At most.
Carry
on.
Continue, Bragg. Carry on, please.
But it has some of the best performances you see on TV. Like, I haven't hated the character like Chuck in such a long time.
Oh yeah, fuck Chuck
is such an asshole.
Yeah, and
you can see where he's coming from, but he's still an asshole.
Yes, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole. You know, it's like his performance is so great, and there are times where you feel very sympathetic for him, but the betrayals that go in there. Because Better Call Saul is very much a family drama, more than like Breaking Bad is a crime, but this is a family drama, and the betrayals from there are so painful and so pure that it just hurts you. Like when you're watching it, like, oh my god, that betrayal that Chuck does at times, it's just painful. You just feel that pain. But the performances are great, the emotional aspects are great, and I think what season 3 does, what the previous seasons don't do that much, is they make Mike the side story, because this actually follows two stories almost. Make Mike's side story a bigger element, so you still have like that I don't know, that crime segments of it, which kind of feels more sexy, you know. Oh, crime! It just kind of feels like more flashy. The family drama, and it mixes those aspects together very well this time around, and it's just a blast to watch. It's just a great show.
I feel like Better Call Saul, even more so than Breaking Bad, is much more low key. Like you said, the crime, the outward crime syndicate, whatever drama, thing is like a completely different story point, at least for now. And we know those will collude eventually, but for now, this feels like very low key, slash courtroom slash family drama, and there are not. It doesn't ramp up as much as Breaking Bad towards the end of the season, where a lot of crazy shit happens and characters' life are in danger and everything that doesn't necessarily happen. Maybe in some form of danger, but not life threatening. And but it's still great, like just in terms of how how the story follows through and everything, and character wise, why am I blanking on the main actor's name?
Jimmy McGill, you mean?
Yeah, but I mean the actor.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yes, Bob Odenkirk is so great. I mean, he was already great in Breaking Bad, but he really takes to heart that this now is his show and he is like the main focus, and he does such a good job of portraying this character being like this very, very flawed being, but that's also super sympathetic and mostly has his heart in the right place. And I think Saul / Jimmy is such a great character, and yeah, it's such a fun time spending time.
You totally feel for him. You totally root for him throughout the entire show.
Exactly.
And even though he does kind of not terrible things, but you can see where they're coming from, and you can see the motivation behind it, and you root for him because you want that relationship between him and Kim is such. I don't know, just so sweet almost that you're like, oh man, I just want that. I just want a happy ending out of this, and it's kind of worse because it's not gonna happen.
No.
Yeah.
And by the way, the show this season ends on such a perfect note. We're like, oh my god, I can't wait what's gonna happen next season. It's just great.
When is that coming anyway? Is that coming in spring?
I think it's pretty soon actually. Yeah.
Can't wait.
I haven't finished was it third season? I haven't finished the third season of Better Call Saul yet, because it did, when I was watching it, it was doing that thing of like having to wait every week for a new episode, and in this climate of like binge watching, I just couldn't hack it. I was like, right, I'm just gonna stop watching this and just finally watch it when it's all done. But then I kind of forgot about it, so I do actually need to go back and finish that. But yeah, I was enjoying shit out of it. It's amazing. Goddamn, that week-to-week thing just annoys the crap out of me these days. But there is something about like the character of Chuck. Like, I think he's hardwired to be the exact thing that I hate. Those people have like the moral high ground, yet are such fucking dicks. It's like Game of Thrones. It was the High Sparrow that really got my fucking goat.
Yeah. Good comparison.
Yeah, it's like Chuck and High Sparrow, man. They should form a tag team.
Yeah, the holier than thou dynamic dick duo. It's pretty much like it's like I am on this moral high horse, and everyone should like adhere to my rules, and those who doesn't have like personally wronged me, and that's why I'm going on a vendetta to make their life miserable, and that's the person he is.
It's the moral high ground, but mixed with being total hypocritical bitch as well.
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
He's
doing really bad things.
You want to hit him in the head, but you can't, because it's gonna go out wrong for you. But oh my god, you're really about to hit that guy in the face. It's gonna feel good
many
for
times.
Like a while. And
every time something bad happens to him, you're celebrating. You're like, yes, finally, fuck that guy.
Yeah, it's like I spent the majority of the time in Game of Thrones like, someone please kill the High Sparrow. Someone please kill him. Jesus Christ, more than any other character. Fucking hell. All right, yeah. So I will definitely check out the end of Better Call Saul. In fact, I believe I'm going to go back to the beginning of the third season and just like binge watch it. I think
sounds like a good move.
Totally have. It's hard to forget what Chuck did, but like like I've forgotten the general plot points of that show, so I have to go back and do that. So I guess my number 2 would be the second season of Stranger Things. So I loved Stranger Things. I know a lot of people. I heard in retrospect that a lot of people had some issues with season 2 of Stranger Things 2, but I don't really understand that myself. To me, it was just this perfect little slice of fun entertainment.
I think it was only one episode that everyone had a problem with.
Oh yeah, well that episode was shit because no, it wasn't shit, but it totally derailed the pacing of the show. Definitely.
Yeah, that's mainly what people were complaining about. It's like this episode feels like it's a different show, or in a way, and it doesn't. It's like the plot stakes makes a hard stop, and then for this story, and then it continues after that. And some people had a problem with that.
It's like basically, it's like a race car going for the finish line. You're all excited, and then it's like, what's gonna happen next? And then it cuts to like someone having their Sunday lunch. It's like, what the fuck? Get the fuck back to the racetrack.
I didn't mind it because I like the character that's the focus in that episode, and I like the setting for that episode. But I can understand why people would complain about it. So
because the previous episode was so high stakes, though. That's why. I mean, it left you with such an intense feeling. Like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh my god! And then they totally shifted focus 100%, and it's just like, what?
It feels like we got a season end cliffhanger, and then the next season they start with a completely not a different cast, but like a completely different story that's set in a different timeline or something in another show. It's like,
also,
what?
I sort of understand why they had that, why they needed that kind of character development for, in that episode. But also it was kind of like they were almost trying to set up some other spin-off show or something. That's what it felt like to me. It was like, maybe. Hey, we can take these characters to make it maybe like try to make a spin-off show.
It feels like they were setting up something for coming seasons. Like it feels like those characters will return, and you will see those characters again in season 3, or eventually, and especially because the background of one of the characters that's very important in that episode, and it feels like okay, this is something that's gonna come up again because it's too important. It feels too important to the universe and the lore of that series to not come up again. But I wonder, it feels like they put it at such an inopportune place. Really weird choice in terms of story, and that's the main problem.
But we're getting into I think the one nitpick, I guess, within the season. But everything else was gold for me. I love the new characters.
Oh yeah.
I loved what's his name, Bob. Is his name Bob?
Yeah. Bob, best character in that show.
It's Bob was absolutely amazing. I really liked the jerk teenager guy who was kind of put in there as well. Complete fucking asshole.
That's probably my only other nitpick because it felt like they didn't do enough with him. It feels like they set him up like the serious threat, and the way that got wrapped up wasn't really, I don't know, didn't feel really consequential. I would say.
I don't mind that. He's just a dick. How can a dick?
Yeah, okay, but I expect.
Maybe I
expected. Yeah. Okay, I expected something different. I expected him to be like that person who is like a major asshole and who does something really dumb that fucks like shit up for everything, gets people killed, whatever. But he didn't really do that. It's like, no, he was just being a threat and was like a maybe threat for a few minutes in one episode.
Yeah.
And then that's that. And I expected him to be more important for the events of that season, which didn't happen. But aside from that, it's like, he fits the character roster that from movies that this show reminds us of and stuff like that. So
there's a very, very tangible. I'm a huge Alien fan, so there's a very, very tangible Aliens vibe going on within the second season of Stranger Things 2, including Paul Reiser, who's in there, who's Burke from Aliens. Yeah, that was a nice little nod. I enjoyed that. Because the thing is, they played on it so well, because he was Burke in Aliens, you always thought he was going to be the bad guy. It's like, that's the bad guy right there. Yeah. So they proper riffed off that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
they know their audience.
Yeah, exactly. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very fun time. I liked the fact that they upped the action sequences very nicely without becoming too garish as well. Like some of the escape sequences in that, and one of the battle sequences were actually really cool and intense. I really liked it. Yeah, it was a proper nice step up, and very fun. Mm-hmm. Brack, did you watch Stranger Things 2 yet?
Nope.
Okay. That's
should
weird.
definitely get on that. Yeah, it's amazing.
I thought you were, maybe I were misremembering that. I thought you were like a season 1 mega fan, but that's, I mean, that show, you know, tries to remind us of a time that you weren't born yet, so it makes sense that you weren't.
This is
Itching his
definitely
daddy's
like
hands.
this is definitely like a circumstance. That's the reason I haven't watched it, because this is one of the shows I watched with somebody else, and
Okay.
we just didn't have the chance to watch it together yet. So that's the reason I haven't watched it.
That's my reason why I haven't watched Punisher yet, so there you go.
Well, I watched Stranger Things with my daughter, so yeah, great stuff. I managed to actually get it done.
That's actually a show that's much more appropriate for her age than the other shows you're watching with her, so there you go.
Yeah, that's
sort of.
definitely a true story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, coming on to our best show of the year. So, Human Metal, what is your number one? What is show of the year for you in 2017?
My show of the year, I've mentioned on this show, on this podcast before, because I was pretty hype about it when it turned up, and that's Mr. Mercedes. I talked about this before, like I said, it probably wouldn't be my number one if I wasn't a giant Stephen King fan, but here we are, and here it is, and here it stays. So yeah, this is an adaptation of a Stephen King novel. It's a story about a psychopath in a clown's costume, of course, mowing down a huge number of people in front of a job center with a Mercedes, which is, by the way, one of the most brutal and realistic and disgusting scenes I have seen on TV and in film this year. It's really harrowing. And the cop who is on that case, gets put on that case, is Bill Hodges, played by Brendan Gleeson, who you might know from films like In Bruges and many other things. And he doesn't solve the case. The end. Show over. No, that's actually just the first few minutes of the show. After that, we jump ahead in time. Bill is now retired, apparently still plagued by not being able to solve his most important case, and also his failure as a father. He's a heavy drinker, doesn't know what to do with himself, sits around in his house all day, until one day the Mercedes killer decides to come out of the woodwork, send him an email, and taunt him for not being able to catch him. And that pushes Bill to revisit all the findings of the data of the old case, to try and finally bring it to an end, you know, visit old people who might know something and stuff like that, investigate that shit again. And, you know, basically get his life together, and meeting a lot of new people in the course of that. So this story, like I said before, is Stephen King trying his hand at the classic hard-boiled detective genre, and I feel like he pulled it off really well in the book. And the show did a really good job at adapting the novel, which I hoped for but didn't expect. Because Stephen King adaptations are always a bit hit and miss. And this was a show made only for AT&T's new streaming service, so I saw the cards stacked against it, but it was really good stuff. Of course, some things were changed, mainly the character of Bill's neighbor becomes a bit more important. Some details of the bad guy and his family and work environment were changed, and the finale, just because the scale of the place where the final confrontation in the book takes place is a bit too big for such a small TV show. So they scaled that down a bit. But aside from that, the show stays surprisingly close to the novel, and most of it works pretty well on screen. Yes, some of the bad guys' daydreams are a bit too over the top to take seriously, and when Harry Treadway, who played Frankenstein in Penny Dreadful, when he overacts. Like, wow. But that doesn't happen too often, though, so it's alright. It was alright with me. But man, Brendan Gleeson is just so fantastic and well cast as the main character. I mean, he's not what I envisioned Bill to look like when reading the book, but he is so on point when it comes to portraying like the super gruff, fucked up, angry, retired cop that just lashes out at everyone who he thinks is being an idiot. I laughed at so many of his no-nonsense responses in the show. It was a joy to see him play this part. Really, really enjoyed the show just because of that, him playing that main character. Now, the show only covers the first book of the series, and there are 3. And regardless of all its crazy parts, the story is still kind of grounded in the first 2 novels, but it gets really crazy and weird and typical Stephen King fantasy horror-esque in the 3rd book. So if they adapt that as faithfully as they did the first one, that might turn some people off. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, this is an incredibly well-done crime story of 2 fucked up individuals, one more so than the other. And I had a blast with it and would recommend it to anyone who likes stuff like that. And if you yeah.
That sounds great. Like, I really want to watch that. I fucking love Brendan Gleeson. Everybody loves Brendan Gleeson, right? He's an amazing actor.
Brendan Gleeson, yeah,
he's great, and he's really good in this part. And if you like him in other stuff, like I said in Bruges, he's fun there too. But he's even more fun in this one, just the way he is. And if you dig Stephen King's novels and haven't watched that show, get on that if you can. Yeah.
This is definitely Stephen King's year. Like, I haven't seen this many Stephen King shit in, like, ages. Right?
Yeah, there's also 2 movies on Netflix now, Gerald's Game and 1922, that are also supposed to be pretty damn good. I gotta check those out as well. One of them has Thomas Jane, who is also in The Expanse. So I guess this is his year as well, maybe.
But like, there are like 3 TV shows, 2 movies on Netflix, like 2 movies in the theater. Like,
and one is the biggest horror movie of all time now. It's like I still have watched that. I want to see that once I got 2 working eyes again. But
talking about your 2 working eyes, Human Metal, like, you are freaking me out because the reflection of your PC screen on the black of your glasses makes you look like you've got a permanent eye that's open. Fucking freaking me out.
Yeah, but
you look like a cat.
Meow, I guess. But this, as a Stephen King fan, this year has been a treat, and Dark Tower didn't work out, but I didn't expect it to, because that story is just too wild. But I'm really happy with what I got with Mr. Mercedes. I'm looking forward to them adapting the second book too, and we'll see what happens with the 3rd book when they get to it. So yeah, I know Breck is gonna watch it. Chushu, are you gonna check it out if you get the chance?
Mr. Mercedes, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. I don't have the same exposure to Stephen King as you do, because I haven't really read any of his novels. I mean, I've seen some of his movies and stuff, but so sure, if I get the opportunity to watch it, it seems to come highly recommended, so I'll definitely give it a look. All right, Bracketh, what is your number 1 of 2017?
My number 1 TV show is Legion. And Legion is the X-Men TV show made by the guy who did the Fargo show. And it's based on this character, David Heller, played by Dan Stevens, who's amazing in this, by the way. And he's like he's a mutant who has like a mental disability. He's schizophrenic. And he's super powerful, insanely powerful X-Men mutant, and just the show focuses completely on him, on his character, on the way he sees the world. And because of that, because he's a bit crazy, the show is crazy. Like, you're never sure what's going on in the first few episodes. Like, crazy stuff happens that's really explained while you're watching it. It is in the beginning, it's not explained that well, but it's just fascinating. It's shot amazing. Like, Fargo is shot beautifully, but this also, and it has like this weird aesthetic where you're not sure which time period it is in. You're like, oh, this could be the 60s, this could be modern times, it could be the 80s. You have no clue while watching it, but it's just, it looks amazing. Like, the main reason I love the show is because it's so creative. Like, the writing, the direction, the way it's edited, it all is so unique and different and stuff like you've never seen before. There's like moments where it's like sequences that are completely like shot symmetrical, and you make like it feels like a Wes Anderson movie, Wes Anderson version of a superhero movie almost. And then after that, it goes like in a more like modern take on superheroes, and it's just crazy. Like, and the characters are all great, the way they interact with each other, the dialogue is just amazing. All I'm saying is it's amazing, because there's not much else to say. I don't know. It's like one of the most unique TV shows out there, and I can only recommend it because of that.
Yeah, that is great news because I'm just about to watch Legion. That's the next show I'm about to start.
I forgot to mention Aubrey Plaza in the show. The performance she gives is unique. It's something you've never seen from that actress before, and it's like one of the best. The bad guy in Legion is one of the best bad guys you've ever seen in a TV show. I just love that performance.
I watched the first episode and loved it, and wanted to wait until the show was over to binge it. And haven't picked it up yet, but I'll really try. You know, I always forget about it for some reason, but you know, I'm glad you brought it back to my mind, and I'm probably gonna watch it, you know, binge it next week when I'm on sick leave again. So, yeah.
I'm gonna binge watch that. Well, I say I'm gonna binge watch it if I like it, but I'm gonna watch that. That is literally the next show I'm about to embark on. In my own private time after I finish Devilman. It's like Devilman and then Legion.
Yeah, I gotta watch that too. Jesus. Anyway, lots of stuff to watch. Lots of good stuff out there.
Yeah. So I guess
one thing. Sorry to break. Are you worried that stuff like Legion will be more of a rarity now that Disney has bought Fox?
Yeah, that's one of the big worries I had from at least from an entertainment standpoint. Like, there's already other big worries because one company owning so much of entertainment is kind of fucked up in its own way. But I'm kind of worried that they're not going to take the chances especially with their super marketable properties like X-Men, no Logan, something like Logan. I don't think would have happened if Disney was in control at that point, and Legion falls under that in a way. So. I'm kind of afraid that they're not going to make shows like that, or even if this show might be cancelled at some point because of it.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope that doesn't happen. Also, Logan has been nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars.
Nice.
I think you got to have a little bit of faith in Disney. I mean, they got that whole Marvel thing going on, but I think there is definitely room to diversify there within that scheme. And I definitely think that Disney are going to keep what is successful, because Logan was really successful, right? It was one of the highest grossing superhero films and really critically acclaimed. So why would you just abandon that success? I mean, it's a success in a slightly different area, but it is still a massive success, which Disney probably doesn't want to look past, because they know that they would be disappointing a huge fan base that's out there for that. I mean, they're separate things.
Same for Deadpool. I don't think that, if they make Deadpool 3, I don't think they would suddenly reduce this to PG-13.
No, because that would not be successful. Can you imagine the backlash that they would experience from that? Because everybody who liked the first one and potentially the second one would just be like, oh no, fuck that's bullshit, and it would be like a complete rebellion and sort of PR upset. And so I think if Disney do go that route of dumbing down everything, they'll lose a lot of face value. Whilst if they continue to give us more adult orientated entertainment, then I think they get better PR. Do you know what I mean? They get if they go against what we all assume they're going to do, which is dumb everything down, or sensibly, that's not what you should think. But if they actually give us more adult-oriented entertainment, the goodwill comes out. You know
I mean? Maybe.
I
hope that's the case. I hope it's the case. But I personally, I remembered of all their cartoons where at some point it's just completely dumbed down, the Spider-Man cartoon and Avengers cartoon were completely changed and dumbed down. And I'm afraid that maybe they're not going to cancel Deadpool or change Deadpool or whatever, but I doubt that they will give another character that same type of shot. You know what I mean? They're not going to cancel Deadpool, but when somebody's making, I don't know, Gwenpool or some shit, they're not going to make that PG. They're going to make that PG-13.
I mean, it always depends on who has the oversight on those projects, and it's probably going to be Jeff Loeb because he's the head of Marvel TV. But there's still the Netflix stuff, like Punisher, that is also not super well marketable, and they still put it out there, and that's under their official brand. That's not that's the official Marvel stuff. and that's, that you would assume that this is like related to, the Disney stuff and movie, and they got a hand in that. So that turned out, at least for some of the shows, turned out well. Not all of them, definitely, but so we'll see how it turns out. It's probably gonna be like a few years off until we see some real development there, but just here's hoping that not too much would change in a bad way.
Yeah.
All right.
So talking about the Punisher, number one on my list is the Punisher. So yeah, the Punisher, and that's not a joke. I often make jokes that change suddenly, but this is the truth. Punisher is my favorite show, 2017. So I love the Punisher. It's my favorite Netflix Marvel show so far. Yeah, I mean, Daredevil was great, and some of the other shows like
Jessica Jones was good. Luke Cage was good. That's
right. I totally
Iron Fist wasn't.
Name. No,
and Defenders wasn't either. Yeah.
No, that wasn't good. But the Punisher was absolutely fucking great, and it set everything right in the land of Marvel TV shows, in my opinion. So yeah, it was crazy violent, as you'd imagine the Punisher would be. There's so many good things that it's hard to really sort of get it in context. One of the great things about that show is they made the Punisher likable, which is very difficult to do because he's inherently a dislikable character, right? Because he's a psychopath, basically. Especially the way that John Bernthal plays him, like he's proper psychotic.
Yeah, he's really unhinged.
In the show, he's totally unhinged, and it's difficult to sort of. It would be difficult to like him if it wasn't for Micro. So they have the best partner of any Marvel TV show and probably any Marvel movie that I've ever seen, where they use his partner just the right rate to like ground the Punisher. The partner gives the Punisher something to care about, and something to basically like humanize him and just remind him that how humans feel and how humans' emotions work. Because without Micro, and this is one of the great things about that show, you can feel the Punisher's always kind of drifting off away from humanity, always on the verge of just becoming a flat-out psychopath, like, and going on a completely self-destructive run, just losing sense of all reality. But like it's connection to his partner that like brings him back. And the relationship between them is excellent. At the beginning of the show, obviously it's very testy, but they play it so well, and the bond between them grows so naturally and so organically and convincingly that, by the end of the show, they're inseparable, but it's not forced or contrived. It just feels totally natural. And some of the jokes that they play in that, for example, the scene where Micro gets drunk and then is literally trying to rub his cock in the Punisher's face. And the Punisher just can't help himself but just start laughing about it, like it's stuff like that. It's Micro so natural and so sort of like non-masculine that it just, I don't know, it just works so well. And there's even a scene that makes you cry in the Punisher where like the reasoning for the Punisher's sort of motivation becomes apparent. Not the thing with his family, his motivation to actually help Micro. What eventually gets him to help Micro. There's a scene where he reveals that motivation. I'm trying to do it without spoilers. That is just so fantastic that it made me just start howling, like out of like empathy for those characters, and it just made me love that character of the Punisher. Which is a very difficult thing to do. And it's violent. The action scenes are all great. The opening episode, I think, was absolutely fantastic because that episode has the Punisher basically trying to hold down a normal job. And it's got that whole redemption thing where people are just like, jabbing him and jibing him and making fun of him. And just like Godless, you're just waiting for that moment where the Punisher snaps. It's so great. So yeah, just loved it. Start to finish, has a great bad guy. Very realistic bad guy, has an efficient motivation, easy to understand. just full of memorable moments. Yeah, it's just really, really good times. And I absolutely love, like I say, the relationship between the Punisher and Micro is the best, like, hero partner relationship I've ever seen in anything. It's brilliant. I love it. Like that's BFFs that you can totally buy into. Like, fantastic. How about you, Human Meta? You've been watching The Punisher. What do you think about that?
No, I've not. Like I wanted to. I mean, I watched both movies and everything, and read some of the comics, played some of the games, and I was very much looking forward to the show. Since I thought like the Punisher stuff was the best thing about Daredevil season 2. The Elektra stuff kind of sucked, but the Punisher stuff was really good. So I was like, man, I hope they give him his own series. And yeah, it happened. And then they showed me that Metallica trailer that was brilliantly like where the stuff happening on screen was brilliantly cut to the music, and like, oh fuck, I'm in. And yeah, but I've got a friend that I watched most of the Marvel shows with, and he is really into the Punisher too, and we just haven't gotten around to sitting down together and watching the show yet, but maybe we'll get that done in the coming weeks. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. It just haven't got it done in time. But yeah.
Oh, one more thing that just suddenly cropped up in my brain that I'll mention about the Punisher. I really love the way that it sort of goes in the same direction as the original Daredevil, where the Punisher isn't unstoppable. He's not. He has his limits, and his limits are always being tested in that. It's never like he hulks up and just Supermans through things. No,
his limit is running out of ammo.
well, yeah, but no, that's what I mean. In the show, just like Daredevil, do you remember the great scene in Daredevil where the Daredevil goes down that corridor in the Russian corridor fight, right? And you feel his effort and his energy that he's expending. The Punisher has the same thing. I mean, the Punisher gets his ass kicked so much in that show. It's like he's always a hair away from being killed. He's always injured. He's always pouring with blood from the fucking eyes or the nose or the mouth. He's always like a few seconds away from death. Like, I really like that. He's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He doesn't just wade through, like bullets pinging off him like James Bond. He properly has to work to take people down in that. And I really like that realistic aspect of it. It's great. Yeah. So there you go. Punisher. Go watch it. It's fucking awesome.
Bragg, what did you think about it?
I haven't seen it either.
Okay.
Assholes to a man.
But it's partly also because I just like, I don't know, after Iron Fist and Defenders, I was like, oh, I gotta need a little bit of a break from Daredevil, from the Netflix shows, and I've never been that big a fan of Punisher, but I will check it out now. I've heard good stuff from you, mostly from you, only from you actually, but.
No, I've heard good stuff from other people too. In regards to
no. But like, I want to see it. I want to see it at some point.
Yeah, definitely. That will definitely cure your feeling about the Marvel, because I was trepidatious too, because like you, the Iron Fist kind of sucked, and the Defenders really sucked. I think I dislike the Defenders now more than Iron Fist, to be honest. But
no.
There you go.
I mean, Defenders is bad, especially the ending. But there are some worthwhile parts in that work. There is nothing that works in Iron Fist. Nothing.
No, but you see, I sort of enjoyed hate watching Iron Fist in a way. I remember.
Okay, I did not.
For a long time, I just went around saying to everybody, "I'm Danny Rand. I'm Danny Rand.
I'm the immortal Iron Fist."
God damn it! You don't understand. I'm Danny Rand. Yeah, but for some reason, the Defenders, I don't know. I didn't enjoy that at all. I kind of enjoyed Iron Fist on some cheesy level. But let's get away from Defenders and Iron Fist and talk about something positive for the next year. Completely positive. What is a show that you are really, really looking forward to? This year. Human Metal. Or as I like to call you, like Cat Black Eyes.
Okay.
Cat Black Eyes. Okay.
I can live with that, I guess.
Yeah. Right, Cat Black Eyes. What's your?
It's gonna change. Like, I'm not gonna have that in our next episode. But anyway.
Dick.
Okay. No, I have to admit I haven't really looked at any. I never do this actually. I haven't looked at any new shows that are coming out. I mean, of course, the usual
Oh my God,
suspects get.
I really thought you were going to say I've never looked at nude girls.
I have looked at.
Why
many
would you
girls.
think he would say that?
Exactly. Why would you think that?
Because you look like the type of person who has never looked at a nude girl. I don't know.
Really? What does that person look like exactly?
What, nude girl? It looks.
God damn it! Okay, back on topic. Anyway, no. So I mean, I'm looking forward to the usual continuous series, like we mentioned, Better Call Saul. That's coming back, right? So looking forward to that. Maybe we'll get a new season of The Expanse already this
Game
year.
of Thrones. Oh wait.
No, sadly not. Otherwise, that would be on top on my list, of course, because it would be the finale. But no, I have to wait for 2019 for that.
Yeah, or as I like to say,
So
it's
I was-
fucking Game of Thrones.
So I'm just gonna name a show that popped up on my radar today, exactly, and that is Counterpart. And that's a sci-fi show. Main actor is J.K. Simmons, who we know and love as J. Jonah Jameson from the earlier Spider-Man movies, and who was also fantastic in Whiplash. And he's playing a office clerk at a company who doesn't really know what they do there, but he just, he works there. And then one day he finds out that it's actually like a secret government agency that, has a connection to a different universe. That's pretty much the same as ours with a few slight differences. And I think he gets sent there as a spy. I think that's the setup. Because his counterpart came over to this universe. And the trailer looked really promising. I like the actor. And this looked really cool. I think the first season premiered as a sneak peek in December. I flew completely under my radar. And, just pumped out. And now the series starts proper this week, I think. And the trailer looked really cool, and I want to check it out. So there you go. Counterpart.
All right, wicked cool. I guess I'll go next. We'll let Brad close out. So the TV show.
I'm about to say, I actually also looking forward to Counterpart. It looks cool. Trailer was nice. We have never seen J.K. Simmons as a lead. Like he's always like side character or supporting actor, but here he's like the full-on lead actor for like a 10 episode series or a season at least. So that's just interesting to see. It feels a lot like the Fringe storyline. I'm not sure if you ever seen Fringe, the TV show. It's a very similar storyline. I think they make this focus a lot more, at least like make the parallel with the Cold War a lot more in at least in Counterpart, at least in the trailer we've seen so far. So, but it's a science fiction spy thriller with like a amazing actor. So of course,
I hope it's a bit more grounded than Fringe. And I mean, I also already like the main actor more than the main actors in that show. I mean, Peter Noble was in Fringe and he was amazing. Don't get me wrong; like he was the best thing about that show. But the story was like not that. I don't know. Didn't really always pull through.
Fringe feels like was it the same world as like X-Files? So this feels like
exactly. It feels like a weird mix between X-Files, Resident Evil, and something else. I don't know. So
I totally agree with you. Like Fringe is a total mystery. I haven't seen my Fringe for at least 10 years.
Jesus Christ. I was wondering why you were smiling. He was like, I can make this joke now. I
have no hair. It's usually Brack's line. All right. I don't have a Fringe.
Okay.
And it's fucking sad. Okay. That's a tearjerker. The Fringe is a tearjerker for me. TV shows I'm looking forward to. I have two that I can just rattle off. Dirk Gently, the second season. Dirk Gently's been cancelled, so fuck it. That's kind of sad, but there won't be a third season of Dirk Gently, but it's really weird because the second season got good reviews as well. I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's out now. But
good reviews are maybe not enough.
Yeah, apparently not. But the main one that I'm really, really looking forward to is, I'm going to have a hard time saying this because I can never get the title right. Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events Season 2.
Sounds right.
Oh, I hope that was right. So I really, really loved the first season. I'm not going to say that title again because I'll balls it up. Like Human Metal's mum. But
Thought we would never get there in this episode, but here we are.
Yeah, the oldies are the goodies. So I really enjoyed the first season. Also, that is a very special show for me because that was the first show that I ever watched with my daughter concretely. Like, we watched that together, start to finish. That was the first ever TV show that we watched together. Since then, we just haven't stopped watching TV shows. So when my daughter saw the PV for it on Netflix, my daughter was like going crazy and like, oh my God, I want to see that. So my daughter's really excited for it. And I also want to see it as well, and share that with her. Because, the first season of that show was great fun and I enjoyed it immensely. Brack, I know you're a big fan of that, right?
I really enjoyed it. It also has, like, for me, the first season of Lemon Snake had this really big nostalgia element to it because while watching it, I started to remember that I read the books as a kid, so that was pretty great. And the funny thing is, I read the first 4 books when I was a kid, and that's the first season covers all those books. So everything that's happening from then on is completely new for me as well. So I'm actually like looking forward to it if I will actually still enjoy it or maybe enjoy it even more. So
yeah, looking forward to that. So how about you, Brack? What are you really looking forward to this year?
I got 2 shows. I got 2 shows I'm looking forward to. One is a show that's coming out in like a week or 2. Like, it's insane. It's called Altered Carbon, which is like this cyberpunk TV show from Netflix where it's in the future where people where people don't really have bodies anymore. They switch bodies all the time. They have they call them skins. Like your brain is like in a computer, and so when you're in the world, you get like transplanted in like a skin. And the main character is like a soldier detective dude, I think, and I think he has to solve someone's murder. And it's like the trailer has this really cliche line, so I hope the show is not like this. But the glitter is like, "I need you to solve a murder," and the guy's like, "Who's mine?" And I hope the show is not like the rest of the show. But it looks really beautiful. Like, it has like an insanely high budget probably, and I'm looking forward to it. I always love cyberpunk, so you always get my interest right away when you get something like that.
Yeah, sounds cool.
I really hope the actor is literally on a green screen, just like you when he says that line, Brack, because you just played that so well. I don't think.
I'm also not really sure about the main actor. It's Reboot Cop. You know, the guy who played RoboCop in the reboot and was also in Suicide Squad. So I'm like,
maybe
seems like a charisma.
Game of Cards. Game of Thrones. No, House of Cards.
Thrones. Oh, right, all right.
But
it looks interesting. I really have to give it a shot only because it's cyberpunk. I'm already willing to give it a shot. But the other show I'm looking forward to. That's the show I'm looking forward to. That's the show. Like, you guys named some decent shows. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, that's nice. But then the show I'm looking forward to is an anthology series written, produced, and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, by the Coen brothers. And they're making a Western anthology series, which has James Franco, Liam Neeson, Brendan Gleeson, and some other big-ass actors in there. So... Of course, I'm looking forward to that. I have no clue what the show is about, except it's called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and I have no clue what the name is weird. I know it's a Western, and that's all I need to know. And that's made by the Coen brothers. That's all I need to know. I'm going to watch it.
Right, yeah. Is it coming on Netflix?
Yeah, it's a Netflix show. It's supposed to be somewhere in the end of this year.
Well, yeah, count me in. I definitely want to watch that. Although I'm one of those weird people that don't really get True Grit. Like, I don't really enjoy that film.
I enjoyed True Grit, but you never know if it's actually gonna be like True Grit. This could be like one of the other movies that are Western inspired.
I hope it's got a bit of comedy to it. With a name like that, it sounds like it could have a bit of comedy to it. Hopefully not like the Ridiculous Six. So.
Personally, I hope it's a lot like that. It's like a series. I'm pretty sure, that's what I'm guessing, that the series is like an episodic, like the way every episode is a standalone, like Black Mirror, only like with a Western setting. But looking forward to it. Like, it's the Coen brothers making a TV show. That's insane, right? That's like insane group of people for making a TV show.
And just so we get it clear, the Coen brothers and the Ridiculous Six were mentioned in the same context, in the same sentence, which should never happen.
Yeah, it's like the best of Netflix and the worst of Netflix.
Yeah, oh my God. I'm telling you, I think if I had to vote on the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, it's probably The Ridiculous Six. I'm not joking.
Why? Why did you watch it? Why did you watch it? Like, I wouldn't even watch it because of I didn't want Netflix to think bad of me. You know, like I know, like Netflix put it in an algorithm that I've seen the Ridiculous Six. I'm like, no, I at least not you, Netflix. You can. I don't want Netflix to think that I'm that bad, and I kind of just recommend all this fucking stupid Adam Sandler movies if you watch it. No, I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, Jesus Christ, Bragg, there is something to be said for that. I think some of those Adam Sandler movies, Jesus Christ, but he does have some good films though.
None of them are on Netflix. Let's be honest. None of those Netflix Adam Sandler movies are good. You know, that's a fact.
I think that pretty much is a fact. But I think Ridiculous Six is beyond, like, there are bad movies, and then there's that movie. Like as the guy says in Billy Madison, like, I award you no points, and God have mercy on your soul. We are all dumber for having listened to you. There you go. All right, now I've stopped the track of the show just completely dead in its tracks. Those are
It's good that we are at the end.
Yeah, that's what happens when you talk about Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's a goddamn true story. These are our opinions on the best shows of 2017. If please sound off in the comment section and tell us your favorite shows, and also tell us what you are looking forward to this year. I keep wanting to say next year. I keep forgetting it. I keep, my brain keeps subconsciously forgetting that it's this year, not next year. Hey, go do that, and please join us next time you get a stinging pork sundry craving.
What? All right. I guess that's the end of it. Okay.